September 11th, 2001. The World Trade Center collapses. The Pentagon burns. Nearly 3,000 people are dead. President George W. Bush addresses the nation from the White House. His face is grave. His words carefully chosen. Freedom itself was attacked this morning by a faceless coward, and freedom will be defended. The nation rallies behind him. But here's something most people don't know. 15 years earlier, in 1986, George W. Bush was initiated into a secret society at Yale University, a society that meets in a windowless building called the Tomb, where members lie in coffins and confess their deepest secrets, where they're given new names and swear lifelong loyalty to fellow members. A society that his father, George H.W. Bush, also belonged to, and his grandfather, Prescott Bush, before him. The society is called Skull and Bones, and on September 11th, in positions of power throughout the US government, at least a dozen Skull and Bones members were making critical decisions about how America would respond. The Secretary of Defense's Chief of Staff, senior positions in the State Department, key roles in intelligence agencies. All Bonesmen, all connected by secret oaths made decades earlier in a tomb at Yale. Coincidence? Maybe. But that's the thing about secret societies. We never really know. Welcome to Intellectual's Lullaby. Tonight, we're going deep into the shadowy world of secret organizations that, according to some, control the destiny of nations. 10 groups. Some are myths that persist despite zero evidence. Others are very real, with documented membership lists, meeting minutes, and measurable influence over global policy. And a few occupy that murky middle ground where documented facts blur into speculation, and it becomes genuinely difficult to separate what's real from what's imagined. By the end of this story, you'll know which is which. You'll understand the difference between conspiracy theory and conspiracy fact. And you'll see how power really operates in the modern world. Not through cackling villains in secret lairs, but through alumni networks, conference invitations, and the quiet coordination of people who went to the same schools, sit on the same boards, and share the same worldview. Let's begin with the most famous secret society in history, the one that started it all, the Illuminati. If you've spent any time on the internet, you know the theories. The all-seeing eye on the dollar bill, the pyramid with 13 steps, Jay-Z's triangle hand gesture, Beyoncé's Super Bowl performance, the Rothschilds, the Rockefellers, Hollywood, the music industry. According to conspiracy theorists, the Illuminati is a shadowy organization that has controlled world events for centuries. They orchestrated the French Revolution. They started World Wars I and II. They control the Federal Reserve. They manipulate elections. They're working toward a new world order where a single elite group rules the entire planet with an iron fist. Politicians are puppets. Celebrities are spokespersons. Major world events are scripted. It sounds absolutely insane. And here's the thing. Most of it is insane. Pure fiction. Internet mythology with no basis in reality. But there's a reason the Illuminati conspiracy has such staying power. Because the Illuminati was real. It actually existed. On May 1st, 1776, the same year America declared independence, a professor in Bavaria, Germany, founded a secret society. His name was Adam Weishaupt. He was 30 years old. A professor of canon law at the University of Ingolstadt. Weishaupt was brilliant, ambitious, and deeply opposed to the power of the Catholic Church and the Bavarian monarchy that supported it. He believed in Enlightenment ideals, reason over superstition, science over dogma, individual freedom over authoritarian control. But in 18th century Bavaria, expressing these ideas openly was dangerous. The church and the state worked together to suppress any challenge to their authority. So Weishaupt created a secret society. He called it the Order of the Illuminati, the Enlightened Ones. The society started with just 5 members, but Weishaupt was an excellent recruiter. He targeted intellectuals, freethinkers, writers, and influential members of European society, people who were frustrated with religious and political oppression. The Illuminati used elaborate codes and secret rituals. Members took pseudonyms based on ancient figures. Weishaupt called himself Spartacus. They communicated through encrypted letters. They met in secret locations. They infiltrated Masonic lodges, using Freemasonry's existing structure to recruit new members and spread their influence. The goal was to gradually place Illuminati members in positions of power throughout European institutions: government, education, the church itself. Then, once enough members were in place, they would work together to promote Enlightenment values, reduce the power of monarchies and the church, and create a more rational, secular society. It was, in essence, a conspiracy to change the world through infiltration and influence. And for about a decade, it worked. By 1784, the Illuminati had grown to roughly 2,000 members across Germany, Austria, Hungary, and France. Members included Johann Wolfgang von Goethe, one of Germany's greatest writers; Johann Gottfried Herder, an influential philosopher; several dukes and barons, military officers, university professors. Even some Catholic priests had secretly joined. The Illuminati was becoming genuinely influential. And that's when it all fell apart. In 1784, a disgruntled former member went to the Bavarian authorities and exposed the society. Documents were seized. Secret correspondence was published. The extent of the Illuminati's infiltration became public. The Bavarian government was shocked and furious. In 1785, Duke Karl Theodor issued an edict banning all secret societies, including the Illuminati and Freemasons. Members were arrested. Some fled to other countries. The organization was systematically dismantled. Adam Weishaupt lost his position at the university and went into exile. By 1790, just 14 years after its founding, the Illuminati was effectively dead. It never recovered. It never went underground. It simply ceased to exist. But the myth didn't die. In fact, the myth was just beginning. In the 1790s, just after the French Revolution, conspiracy theories started spreading throughout Europe. Some claimed the Illuminati hadn't really been destroyed, that they'd gone deeper underground, that they had secretly orchestrated the French Revolution to overthrow the French monarchy. Books were published claiming the Illuminati was behind every revolutionary movement in Europe. Scottish physicist John Robison published Proofs of a Conspiracy in 1797, claiming the Illuminati planned to destroy all religions and governments. French Jesuit Augustin Baruel published a 4-volume series making similar claims. These books were widely read. The conspiracy theory spread. But there was no evidence. None of the revolutionary leaders were known Illuminati members. The timeline didn't work. The claims were based on speculation and paranoia. The real Illuminati had been a small regional organization that existed for barely a decade, but the myth became immortal. In the 19th century, the Illuminati conspiracy theory evolved. Now they were supposedly behind Napoleon, behind the Industrial Revolution, behind the rise of capitalism. In the 20th century, the theory exploded. American conspiracy theorists claimed the Illuminati founded the Federal Reserve in 1913. They claimed the Illuminati orchestrated World War I and World War II. In the 1970s, Robert Anton Wilson and Robert Shea published the Illuminatus trilogy, a satirical novel series that playfully mixed real history with absurd conspiracy theories. The books were meant to be parody, mocking conspiracy thinking, but many readers took them seriously. And then came the internet. Suddenly, anyone could publish theories. YouTube videos, blog posts, forum threads, all claiming insider knowledge of the Illuminati. The all-seeing eye on the dollar bill? Illuminati. The pyramid on the back of the $1 bill, Illuminati. Pop stars making triangle hand gestures. Illuminati. Celebrity deaths. Illuminati sacrifices. Mass shootings. Illuminati false flags. Elections. Illuminati manipulation. It became a catch-all explanation for everything. Any event, any person in power, any symbol could be connected to the Illuminati with enough creative interpretation. And the thing is, none of it is real. There is no modern Illuminati. There's no central organization calling itself the Illuminati controlling world events. No leaked documents. No whistleblowers. No financial records. No membership lists. Just speculation, pattern seeking, and the human need to believe that someone, anyone, is in control of the chaos. But here's the uncomfortable truth that keeps the conspiracy alive. Even though the Illuminati doesn't exist, the kind of coordinated elite influence it represents absolutely does. There are groups of powerful people who meet privately, make decisions that affect billions, coordinate their interests, and operate with very little public accountability. They just don't call themselves the Illuminati. They call themselves things like the Council on Foreign Relations, the Bilderberg Group, the Trilateral Commission. And unlike the Illuminati, these organizations are real, documented, and measurably influential. So people aren't wrong to sense that power operates in shadows. They're just wrong about which shadows. Let's talk about one of the most exclusive, most secretive, and most influential organizations in American history. Skull and Bones. Founded in 1832 at Yale University in New Haven, Connecticut, Skull and Bones is America's oldest senior secret society. Its official name is the Order of Skull and Bones, though members simply call it the Order. The society was founded by William Huntington Russell, whose family made a fortune in the opium trade with China, and Alphonso Taft, who would later become U.S. Secretary of War and Attorney General. From the beginning, Skull and Bones was designed to create an elite network, a brotherhood of future leaders bound by secret rituals and lifelong loyalty. Every year, exactly 15 Yale seniors are tapped for membership. Tapping happens in the spring of their junior year. Current members identify promising students, usually athletes, student government leaders, sons of previous members, or those deemed likely to achieve power and influence. On tap night, members approach selected students, tap them on the shoulder, and ask, "Skull and Bones, accept or reject?" Most accept. Rejection is rare. Membership is one of the highest honors Yale offers, though it's never officially acknowledged by the university. Once tapped, initiates become knights. They're given a key to the tomb, the windowless, fortress-like building on Yale's campus where the society meets. The tomb is an imposing structure. No windows on the ground floor, heavy stone walls, a massive wooden door. Inside is reportedly filled with macabre artifacts, skulls and bones, including allegedly the skull of the Apache leader Geronimo, though this has never been confirmed. The initiation rituals are secret, but some details have leaked over the years from disgruntled members and investigative journalists. New members reportedly lie in coffins while other members stand around them in robes. They must recount their entire sexual history in graphic detail to the group. Nothing is off limits. This creates vulnerability, intimacy, and shared secrets that bind members together. They're given new names, nicknames that strip away their public identity and create a separate Skull and Bones persona. They participate in ritual mourning for their old lives and rebirth into the Order. And they swear oaths. Absolute loyalty to fellow bonesmen. Lifelong commitment to the organization. What happens in the tomb stays in the tomb. Now here's why Skull and Bones matters. It's not that they're secretly running the world from a basement at Yale, it's that members go on to occupy positions of extraordinary power, and they maintain those bonds for life. 3 US presidents have been bonesmen. William Howard Taft class of 1878, president from 1909 to 1913. George H.W. Bush, class of 1948, president from 1989 to 1993. George W. Bush, class of 1968, president from 2001 to 2009. That's 3 presidents from one secret society with only 15 members per year. The statistical improbability is staggering. But it's not just presidents. Supreme Court justices have been bonesmen, CIA directors and deputy directors, founders of major investment banks and law firms, media executives. In 2004, the presidential election was between George W. Bush and John Kerry. Both were bonesmen. Bush from the class of 1968, Kerry from the class of 1966. When journalists asked both candidates about their Skull and Bones membership, both refused to discuss it. Tim Russert asked Bush on Meet the Press, "You were both in Skull and Bones, the secret society at Yale. What does that tell us?" Bush laughed uncomfortably and said, "Not much, because it's a secret." Kerry, when asked the same question, said, "I wish there was something I could manifest, but it's a secret. Sorry, I can't talk about it." 2 men running for the most powerful office on earth, both members of the same secret society, and neither would talk about it publicly. That's not conspiracy theory. That's documented fact. The network extends beyond politics. Henry Luce, founder of Time, Life and Fortune magazines, was a bonesman. W. Averell Harriman, diplomat and presidential advisor, was a bonesman. Stephen Schwarzman, co-founder of Blackstone Group, one of the world's largest private equity firms, was a bonesman. John Kerry's lieutenant governor when he was senator, Frederick P. Clark, was a bonesman. The connections go on and on. Does Skull and Bones directly control American policy? Almost certainly not. There's no evidence of orders being issued from the tomb, no secret meetings where bonesmen coordinate to manipulate world events. But what Skull and Bones does is create lifelong networks of loyalty and mutual support among America's elite. When a bonesman calls another bonesman for help, that call gets answered. When job openings appear, bonesmen recommend other bonesmen. When business deals are made, bonesmen partner with bonesmen. And when political appointments happen, bonesmen appoint bonesmen. It's not a conspiracy, it's a network, but a secret network, operating according to rules and loyalties that the public never sees. And when those networks are secret, when the public doesn't know who owes loyalty to whom, influence becomes invisible. That's the real power of Skull and Bones. Not world domination, but invisible coordination among people who control very visible levers of power. Before we go deeper into these hidden networks, if you're finding this fascinating, if you're starting to see patterns you never noticed before, consider subscribing to Intellectual's Lullaby. We explore the structures of power that operate in shadows, the networks you're not supposed to know about, the connections between people that shape policy behind closed doors. New stories every week, designed to engage your mind while your body drifts into rest. And I'm curious, where are you listening from? Have you heard of Skull and Bones before? Did you know both Bush and Kerry were members? Leave a comment. Let's build a community of people who ask uncomfortable questions. Now let's travel to Northern California, to a place where the most powerful men in America gather every summer in the redwood forests. Bohemian Grove, about 75 miles north of San Francisco, deep in the ancient redwood forests of Sonoma County, there's a 2,700-acre private campground. It's owned by a San Francisco-based men's club called the Bohemian Club, founded in 1872. Every July, for 2 weeks, this campground becomes the gathering place for approximately 2,000 of the world's most powerful men. Current and former US presidents, vice presidents, cabinet secretaries, Fortune 500 CEOs, media moguls, central bankers, Supreme Court justices, military leaders, foreign heads of state. all men. Women are strictly forbidden. It's been that way since the club's founding. They sleep in rustic camps with whimsical names: Mandalay, Lost Angels, Hillbillies, Caveman, Silverado Squatters. Each camp houses 10 to 30 members. Some camps are more prestigious than others. During the day, they attend lectures called Lakeside Chats, where speakers discuss policy, technology, economics, and politics. No recordings, no press, no minutes. They perform theatrical productions, musical performances, comedy sketches. And on the first Saturday night of the encampment, they participate in the most bizarre and controversial ritual in American elite culture: the Cremation of Care. As night falls, members gather at the edge of a small lake. Before them stands a 40-foot concrete owl statue representing Moloch, an ancient deity. Men in robes, acting as priests, perform a ceremony. The crowd chants. Music plays from hidden speakers. An effigy representing worldly cares is placed on a pyre at the base of the owl. A voice booms from speakers in the owl, supposedly the voice of Moloch itself, accepting the sacrifice. The effigy is set on fire. Fireworks explode. The crowd cheers. The symbolism is clear. For the next 2 weeks, the most powerful men in the world are free from the cares and responsibilities of running the world. They can relax, network, and enjoy themselves. This sounds like conspiracy theory. It sounds like something from a Dan Brown novel or a Reddit fever dream, but it's all documented. Photographs exist. They've been leaked over the years. One famous photograph from the year 2000 shows the massive owl statue and the ceremony in progress. Membership lists have been leaked. Investigative journalists have confirmed attendees. Richard Nixon, who attended Bohemian Grove multiple times before and during his presidency, was once recorded in the Oval Office, saying this to his chief of staff, H.R. Haldeman. The Bohemian Grove, which I attend from time to time, is the most faggy goddamn thing you could ever imagine. That San Francisco crowd that goes in there, it's just terrible. I mean, I won't shake hands with anybody from San Francisco. So even Nixon, a member, found it bizarre. Ronald Reagan and George H.W. Bush reportedly first discussed the 1980 presidential ticket at Bohemian Grove. Reagan, who had been a member since the 1960s, allegedly offered Bush the vice presidential slot during a casual conversation in the woods. That decision shaped American history for decades. And it happened at a private men's club. The Manhattan Project, which developed the atomic bomb, was allegedly first planned at Bohemian Grove in 1942 during a lakeside chat. According to some accounts, physicists and military leaders discussed the feasibility of an atomic weapon there months before the project was officially authorized. Corporate mergers have been discussed. Energy policy. Banking regulations. Bohemian Grove's official position is that it's just a summer retreat, a place for powerful men to relax, enjoy nature, and network. No business is officially conducted. No decisions are officially made. It's all informal. But when the President of the United States, the CEO of ExxonMobil, the Chairman of the Federal Reserve, and a Supreme Court Justice are all standing around a campfire having drinks, even informal conversations have enormous consequences. A casual suggestion becomes policy. A joke becomes strategy. A handshake becomes $1 billion deal. And the public never knows. It happened. The secrecy is enforced ruthlessly. A former member once said, "What happens at the Grove stays at the Grove." Journalists are banned. Security is tight. Members are forbidden from discussing what happens there. In 1989, a writer named Philip Weiss infiltrated Bohemian Grove by posing as a guest. His article in Spy magazine described the surreal experience of watching America's elite dress in drag for theatrical performances, urinate on trees together, and discuss policy while drunk. In 2000, Alex Jones, a conspiracy theorist, snuck into the Grove with a hidden camera and filmed parts of the Cremation of Care ceremony. His footage, while sensationalized, confirmed that the ritual does happen. Bohemian Grove represents something troubling about American power. It's not that there's a secret plot, it's that the people making decisions that affect 330 million Americans do so in private, among themselves, without public input or accountability. And they've been doing it for over a century. Let's move across the Atlantic to Europe, where the most infamous modern secret gathering takes place every year. The Bilderberg Group. In May 1954, a group of about 70 European and American leaders gathered at the Hotel de Bilderberg in Oosterbeek, Netherlands. The meeting was organized by Prince Bernhard of the Netherlands, Polish politician Jozef Rettinger, and Belgian Prime Minister Paul van Zeeland. The official goal was to strengthen cooperation between Europe and North America during the Cold War, to prevent the misunderstandings that led to World Wars I and II. Attendees included politicians, diplomats, business leaders, and intellectuals. The meeting was secret. No press was invited. No public announcements were made. And it continued. Every year since 1954, the Bilderberg Group has met in secret, different location each year, approximately 130 to 150 attendees, invitation only. Today, the Bilderberg Group is one of the most powerful and controversial organizations in the world. Attendees include heads of state and prime ministers, finance ministers, and central bank governors, CEOs of the world's largest corporations, Google, Amazon, Goldman Sachs, Shell, Fiat Chrysler, media executives from CNN, The Economist, The Financial Times, military leaders including the Secretary General of NATO, tech billionaires, academic elites. Recent confirmed attendees include Jared Kushner, senior advisor to President Trump, attended in 2017. Emmanuel Macron, President of France, attended before he was elected. Jeff Bezos, founder of Amazon. Eric Schmidt, former CEO of Google. Christine Lagarde, President of the European Central Bank. Mark Carney, former Governor of the Bank of England. Meetings last 3 to 4 days. Discussions are held under Chatham House rule, meaning participants can use information discussed but cannot reveal who said what. Topics vary, but consistently include economic policy, technology, foreign affairs, and social issues. Recent meeting agendas, partially leaked, included the future of artificial intelligence and its impact on employment, climate change and energy policy, the rise of populism and challenges to liberal democracy, China's growing influence, cybersecurity and information warfare. The 2016 US presidential election was discussed at Bilderberg meetings months before it happened. Brexit was discussed at Bilderberg, the European debt crisis, the war in Syria, immigration policy. These are topics that affect billions of people, decided, or at least heavily influenced, by 150 unelected individuals meeting behind closed doors. No press is allowed inside. Journalists who try to attend are turned away by private security. No recordings. No official minutes are published. Attendees are forbidden from discussing what happens at Bilderberg publicly. When asked about their attendance, most politicians deflect or refuse to comment. Critics call the Bilderberg Group a shadow government, an unelected elite coordinating policy across borders. They point out that policies discussed at Bilderberg often become official policy within months or years. The creation of the euro was discussed at Bilderberg meetings throughout the 1990s, years before it was publicly proposed. The expansion of NATO into Eastern Europe was discussed at Bilderberg before it happened. The invasion of Iraq was allegedly debated at Bilderberg meetings in 2002 before the public justification was made. None of this is proven definitively because the discussions are secret, but the timing is suspicious. Defenders of Bilderberg say it's just a forum, a place for powerful people to exchange ideas off the record. They argue that informal discussions help build trust and understanding between leaders from different countries. That Chatham House rule allows people to speak freely without political consequences, leading to more honest dialogue. But here's the problem. When decisions that affect entire populations are made in secret, democracy becomes theatre. Elections happen. Politicians campaign. The public votes. But the real decisions, the actual policies, are coordinated privately among people who were never elected and face no accountability. That's not conspiracy theory, that's how power actually works. We're about a third of the way through this journey, and if you're still with me, you're exactly the kind of person who doesn't accept official narratives at face value. By subscribing to Intellectuals' Lullaby, you're joining a community of people who dig deeper, who ask uncomfortable questions, who understand that the world isn't run the way civics textbooks pretend. Hit subscribe and leave a comment. What do you think about Bilderberg? Should these meetings be public? Or is secrecy necessary for honest dialogue? I genuinely want to know what you think. This channel is a conversation, not a lecture. Now let's talk about the oldest, largest, and most misunderstood secret society in the world. The Freemasons. Freemasonry is not a single organization. It's a network of fraternal organizations connected by shared rituals, symbols, and philosophy. Its origins are murky. The first Grand Lodge was established in London in 1717, but Masonic traditions claim roots going back to the builders of Solomon's Temple in ancient Israel. More realistically, Freemasonry evolved from medieval guilds of stonemasons, the craftsmen who built Europe's great cathedrals. Over time, these guilds began accepting speculative masons, intellectuals who weren't actual stonemasons, but were interested in the philosophical and moral teachings associated with the craft. By the 18th century, Freemasonry had become a fraternal organization focused on moral improvement, charity, and brotherhood. Today, there are an estimated 6 million Freemasons worldwide, organized into lodges. Each lodge is autonomous, but follows shared rituals prescribed by their Grand Lodge. Freemasonry is organized into degrees. The first three are called the Blue Lodge degrees. Entered Apprentice, the first degree. Fellowcraft, the second degree. Master Mason, the third degree. Most Masons stop at the third degree, but additional degrees exist inside organizations like the Scottish Rite, which goes up to the 32nd degree, and the York Rite. The 33rd degree of Scottish Rite is honorary and conferred for exceptional service. Masonic rituals are secret. Members swear oaths not to reveal what happens in lodge meetings. But enough has leaked over the years to give us a general picture. Initiations involve symbolic dramas reenacting moral lessons from Masonic legend. The most famous is the legend of Hiram Abiff, the architect of Solomon's Temple, who was murdered for refusing to reveal the secrets of Master Masons. Rituals involve blindfolds, symbolic tools like the square and compass, and oaths sworn on a Bible or other holy book. Masons use secret handshakes, passwords, and symbols to identify each other. So, do Freemasons control the world? Almost certainly not. Most Freemasons are ordinary people. Teachers, plumbers, accountants. They join for community, tradition, and the philosophical teachings. But throughout history, Freemasons have occupied positions of extraordinary influence. 14 US presidents were Masons. George Washington, the first president. James Monroe, Andrew Jackson, James K. Polk, James Buchanan, Andrew Johnson, James Garfield, William McKinley, Theodore Roosevelt, William Howard Taft, Warren Harding, Franklin D. Roosevelt, Harry Truman, Gerald Ford. That's 14 out of 46 presidents. Nearly a third. 9 signers of the Declaration of Independence were Freemasons. 13 signers of the Constitution. Benjamin Franklin, one of America's most influential founders, was a Grand Master Mason. In other countries, the pattern continues. Winston Churchill, Britain's wartime Prime Minister, was a Freemason. So was King Edward VII, and multiple other British monarchs. Simón Bolívar, who liberated much of South America from Spanish rule, was a Freemason. Giuseppe Garibaldi, who unified Italy, was a Freemason and Grand Master. Mozart, the composer, was a Freemason. His opera The Magic Flute is filled with Masonic symbolism. Mark Twain, Duke Ellington, Voltaire, and countless other artists and thinkers were Masons. In many countries and many eras, being a Freemason was practically a requirement for political and social advancement. The problem isn't that Masons are evil. The problem is that they're a network, a secret network. When judges, politicians, police chiefs, lawyers, and business leaders all belong to the same secret organization, loyalty becomes divided. Are they serving the public interest, or are they serving their lodge brothers? We can't know, and that's the problem with secrecy. There have been scandals. In Italy, the P2 Lodge, an irregular Masonic lodge, was involved in massive political corruption, terrorism, and connections to organized crime in the 1970s and 80s. When Italian authorities raided P2, they found membership lists that included cabinet ministers, military leaders, intelligence chiefs, and business executives. The scandal nearly brought down the Italian government. In Britain and France, Masonic influence in police and judiciary has led to concerns about corruption and favoritism. Most Freemasons are good people, but the secrecy allows bad actors to hide within the network. And when loyalty to fellow Masons conflicts with loyalty to the public, the secrecy makes it impossible to know which loyalty wins. Let's move to an organization that doesn't hide. It operates openly. But its influence is so vast and so consistent that many consider it a de facto shadow government. The Council on Foreign Relations. The CFR was founded in 1921 in New York City, shortly after World War I. Its founding members included bankers, lawyers, and academics who had advised President Woodrow Wilson during the Paris Peace Conference. The official mission: to promote understanding of U.S. foreign policy and international affairs through research, publications, and discussions. The CFR publishes Foreign Affairs, one of the most prestigious journals on international relations. It hosts conferences, lectures, and study groups where experts and policymakers discuss global issues. Membership is by invitation only. Approximately 5,000 members, including current and former government officials, corporate executives, journalists and media leaders, academics and think tank scholars, military leaders. Every U.S. Secretary of State since World War II has been a CFR member. John Foster Dulles, Eisenhower's Secretary of State, CFR member. Dean Rusk, Kennedy and Johnson's Secretary of State, CFR member. Henry Kissinger, Nixon and Ford's Secretary of State, CFR member and director. Madeleine Albright, Clinton's Secretary of State, CFR member. Colin Powell, George W. Bush's Secretary of State, CFR member. Hillary Clinton, Obama's Secretary of State, CFR member. Every CIA director from Alan Dulles to recent appointees has been a CFR member. Most Treasury secretaries, most national security advisors, most chairmen of the Federal Reserve. The CFR doesn't make policy directly. It doesn't have official government power. But it shapes the people who do make policy. It's where future officials are trained, where ideas are tested, where consensus is built among the elite before policies are ever presented to the public. Critics call the CFR the real State Department, the invisible government. They point out that CFR members consistently advocate for certain positions: globalization and free trade, interventionist foreign policy, including military intervention when deemed necessary, strong alliances with Western Europe and NATO, support for international institutions like the United Nations, World Bank, and IMF. Whether you agree with these positions or not, the consistency is striking. And it raises a question. If nearly everyone making foreign policy went to the same schools, attended the same conferences, read the same journal, and belongs to the same organization, is that diversity of thought, or is it groupthink? The CFR's influence extends beyond government into media. Major journalists are CFR members. The CEOs or presidents of the New York Times, Washington Post, Wall Street Journal, and major television networks have been CFR members. This creates a revolving door between policymaking and media. Officials leave government, write for foreign affairs, give speeches at CFR events, then return to government or go into media. Ideas circulate within this closed loop. The same people, the same perspectives, reinforcing each other. The public is presented with the illusion of debate, but the fundamental assumptions are never questioned because everyone in the conversation shares them. This isn't conspiracy. It's not coordinated manipulation. It's structural. It's how elite consensus is built and maintained. But the result is the same. Policies are decided by a small group of people, and the rest of us are told it's for our own good. Let's talk about a secretive organization that operates within the Catholic Church itself. Opus Dei, founded in Madrid, Spain in 1928 by a Catholic priest named Josemaria Escrivá, Opus Dei is officially a personal prelature of the Catholic Church. Its full name is Prelature of the Holy Cross and Opus Dei. Opus Dei means work of God in Latin. The organization's mission is to help lay people live holy lives through their ordinary work and daily activities. Opus Dei has approximately 95,000 members worldwide. The vast majority are supernumeraries, married lay people who live normal lives but follow Opus Dei's spiritual guidance. But there are also numeraries, celibate members, who live in Opus Dei centers and dedicate their lives more fully to the organization. And this is where things get controversial. Former members describe Opus Dei as cult-like. Numeraries practice intense forms of self-denial. They wear a spiked chain called a cilice around their thigh for 2 hours a day, causing discomfort and sometimes breaking skin. They use a small whip called a discipline to strike themselves on the back or buttocks as penance. These practices, called corporal mortification, are meant to unite the practitioner with Christ's suffering. Opus Dei insists these practices are voluntary and rooted in centuries of Catholic tradition. But former members describe psychological pressure, guilt, and manipulation to maintain obedience. Opus Dei also has enormous influence. Members include politicians, judges, business leaders, and academics in countries around the world. In Spain, during Franco's fascist dictatorship, Opus Dei members held senior government positions, including ministers of finance and education. This gave the organization immense influence over Spanish policy for decades. In Italy, Opus Dei members have held positions in government, media, and finance. The organization has been accused of using its influence to promote conservative Catholic positions on issues like abortion, contraception, and LGBTQ rights. In the United States, Opus Dei members include Supreme Court Justice Antonin Scalia, CIA Director William Casey, and FBI Director Louis Freeh. The organization became internationally famous, or infamous, after Dan Brown's novel The Da Vinci Code portrayed Opus Dei as a sinister force within the church, willing to kill to protect secrets. That portrayal was wildly exaggerated and inaccurate. Opus Dei is not a murderous cabal, but its secrecy, its influence, and its intense devotion do raise legitimate questions. When members of a secretive religious organization hold positions in government, law, and finance, all bound by spiritual obedience to the organization, where does their loyalty lie? To the public? To the law? Or to Opus Dei? We can't know, because like all secret organizations, Opus Dei doesn't reveal its internal workings to outsiders. Now let's discuss an organization specifically created to coordinate power across 3 continents. The Trilateral Commission, founded in 1973 by David Rockefeller, chairman of Chase Manhattan Bank, and Zbigniew Brzezinski, who would become National Security Advisor under President Carter. The Trilateral Commission brings together leaders from North America, Europe, and Asia. The Trilateral refers to these 3 regions. The official mission: promote closer cooperation and coordination on economic, political, and security issues. Membership is by invitation, approximately 400 members, divided roughly equally among the 3 regions. Members include current and former heads of state, finance ministers, CEOs of major corporations, central bankers, and academics. Like the CFR and Bilderberg, the Trilateral Commission doesn't make policy directly, but its members do. Jimmy Carter was a Trilateral Commission member before becoming president. Brzezinski recruited him. When Carter won the presidency, he appointed dozens of Trilateral Commission members to his administration: Vice President Walter Mondale, Secretary of State Cyrus Vance, Secretary of Defense Harold Brown, National Security Advisor Zbigniew Brzezinski himself. Critics pointed out that Carter had campaigned as an outsider, yet his administration was filled with trilateral insiders. Other presidents followed similar patterns. George H.W. Bush was a trilateral member before becoming vice president and then president. Bill Clinton was a member before his presidency. Dick Cheney, vice president under George W. Bush, was a member. The pattern is unmistakable. Membership in the Trilateral Commission serves as a screening process, a credential that signals someone is acceptable to the global elite. The Trilateral Commission coordinates economic policy across borders. It advocates for free trade agreements, deregulation of financial markets, and integration of economies. In the 1990s, as globalization accelerated, Trilateral Commission members were at the forefront, pushing policies that benefited multinational corporations and financial institutions. Critics see the Trilateral Commission as evidence of coordinated global governance without democratic consent. Defenders say it's just a forum for dialogue, promoting understanding and preventing conflict. But when the same people appear on the membership lists of the CFR, Bilderberg, and the Trilateral Commission, it stops looking like coincidence. It looks like a network, a coordinated network of power. Before we continue, I want to hear from you. What's your take on all of this? Are these organizations really coordinating global policy, or are they just networking clubs that happen to include powerful people? Where are you listening from? Have you heard of the Trilateral Commission before? Leave a comment. Share your thoughts. This channel is built on conversation and community, not just one-way lectures. And subscribe to Intellectual's Lullaby for more explorations into the hidden structures of power. Now let's move to one of the most controversial conspiracy theories in circulation: the Committee of 300. According to conspiracy theorist John Coleman, the Committee of 300 is the ultimate secret society. A council of exactly 300 individuals, mostly European aristocrats and financial elites, who control the world from the shadows. Coleman claims the committee was created by the British aristocracy in 1727 as a way to coordinate and maintain their power as formal empires began to crumble. According to Coleman's theory, the Committee of 300 controls the world's central banks, including the Federal Reserve, the Bank of England, and the European Central Bank, orchestrates wars to profit from arms sales and geopolitical reorganization, manipulates currencies and economies, controls the illegal drug trade as a means of social control and profit, runs the CIA, MI6 and Mossad as enforcement arms, orchestrated the French Revolution, both world wars, and most major conflicts since. Coleman published his claims in a book titled Conspirators' Hierarchy: The Story of the Committee of 300 in 1992. The book lists alleged members: the British royal family including Queen Elizabeth II, the Rothschild banking dynasty, the Rockefeller family, The Warburg banking family. CEOs of Shell, British Petroleum, and other multinational corporations. Leaders of the Vatican. Senior politicians from around the world. It's an impressive list. And if true, it would mean global power is concentrated in the hands of 300 people coordinating everything. There's just one enormous problem. There's no evidence any of this is true. No leaked documents from the committee. No whistleblowers. No financial records. No meeting minutes. No correspondence. Coleman's book cites sources, but they're vague, often decades old, or unverifiable. He claims insider knowledge but provides no proof of his access. Most historians, journalists, and researchers dismiss the Committee of 300 as pure fantasy, a conspiracy theory constructed to explain everything through a single shadowy cabal. But here's why people believe it. Because things like it do exist. Not with 300 members, not with a single organizational structure, not meeting in a room with Committee of 300 on the door, but networks of wealthy, powerful families who have maintained influence for generations. Yes, individuals who sit on multiple boards, attend multiple conferences, coordinate their interests informally. Yes, financial systems that concentrate power in a small number of institutions. Yes. The mistake conspiracy theorists make is thinking power is organized like a corporation, with a CEO, a board of directors, and a master plan. Reality is messier. It's overlapping networks, shared interests, alumni associations, conference invitations, private clubs, family connections. It's dozens of committees, councils, organizations, and informal groups, all interconnected, all pursuing similar goals because they come from similar backgrounds and worldviews. It's not a conspiracy. It's just how elite power operates. But the result is the same. A small group of people, mostly unelected, making decisions that affect billions. Finally, let's talk about the most visible, most influential, and most controversial gathering of global elites today. The World Economic Forum, Davos. Every January, in the Swiss ski resort town of Davos, approximately 3,000 of the world's most powerful people gather for the World Economic Forum's annual meeting. Heads of state and prime ministers. CEOs of the world's largest corporations. Central bank governors. Tech billionaires. Media moguls, celebrities, academics. They're there to shape the global agenda. The WEF was founded in 1971 by Klaus Schwab, a German economist and engineer. Schwab's vision was to create a platform where business leaders could engage with political leaders on global issues. The first meeting in Davos had less than 500 attendees. Today, it's grown into the most important gathering of global elites every year. Unlike older secret societies, the WEF operates mostly in the open. It has a website, social media accounts, press conferences, live-streamed panels. But it's also highly exclusive. Attendance is by invitation only. Membership fees can reach hundreds of thousands of dollars. And increasingly, the WEF has become the target of conspiracy theories. In 2020, Klaus Schwab published a book titled COVID-19, The Great Reset. The book argued that the COVID pandemic represented an opportunity to reimagine capitalism, address inequality, and build a more sustainable economic system. Schwab wrote about stakeholder capitalism, where companies consider not just profits, but their impact on society and the environment. He discussed the fourth industrial revolution, the integration of AI, biotechnology, and digital systems into everyday life. And he made statements like, "You'll own nothing, and you'll be happy," referring to a future where people rent and share goods rather than owning them outright. Conspiracy theorists seized on this. They claimed the Great Reset is a plan for global government, that the WEF wants to eliminate private property, install a social credit system, and create a technocratic dictatorship, that COVID was deliberately orchestrated, or at least exploited, to advance this agenda, that Klaus Schwab and the WEF are the public face of a new world order. Some of this is exaggeration. Some is misinterpretation. Some is pure invention. But there are legitimate concerns about the WEF. First, it's a lobbying organization for global capitalism. It promotes policies that benefit multinational corporations and the ultra-wealthy. Second, it has no democratic accountability. These people make recommendations that shape policy in dozens of countries, and no one elected them. Third, the WEF's Young Global Leaders program has trained hundreds of future politicians and business leaders, creating a network of individuals who share the WEF's worldview. Graduates include Emmanuel Macron, President of France; Jacinda Ardern, former Prime Minister of New Zealand; Justin Trudeau, Prime Minister of Canada. When a single organization has trained multiple heads of state, that's influence. And when those leaders implement policies that align with WEF recommendations, people notice. Is the WEF a secret society? No, it's very public. Is it a conspiracy to control the world? Not in the way conspiracy theorists claim. But is it a coordinated effort by global elites to shape policy in their favor? Yes, that's exactly what it is. And they don't hide it. So after exploring 10 organizations, what have we learned? The Illuminati doesn't exist. It was real for 14 years in the late 18th century, then was destroyed. Everything since is myth. Skull and Bones is real. It creates lifelong networks among American elites. Its influence is measurable, but not total. Bohemian Grove is real. Powerful men do gather there every summer. The rituals are bizarre but mostly symbolic. The Bilderberg Group is real, very real, and its coordination of policy across borders is documented. The Freemasons exist, they have influence, but most members are ordinary people. The conspiracy theories are overblown. The Council on Foreign Relations shapes American foreign policy by training the people who make it. That's not secret. It's structural. Opus Dei has influence within the Catholic Church and beyond. It's secretive and controversial, but it's not running the world. The Trilateral Commission coordinates policy across 3 continents, openly. The Committee of 300 is fiction. But the kind of elite coordination it describes is real, just more diffuse. And the World Economic Forum is the modern face of global elite coordination. Visible, influential, and unaccountable. Here's the truth. The world is not controlled by a single secret society meeting in a smoke-filled room, plotting every event. It's controlled by overlapping networks of powerful people who share interests, backgrounds, and worldviews. They attend the same schools. They join the same organizations. They sit on the same boards. They attend the same conferences. They don't need secret rituals. They have money, connections, and access. They don't need a master plan. They just pursue their shared interests, and those interests align because they come from the same elite class. The conspiracy isn't that they're evil. Most of them probably think they're doing good. The conspiracy is that they've convinced us this is normal. That this is how the world has to work. That decisions affecting billions should be made by a few thousand people meeting privately, coordinating policy, shaping the future according to their vision. And the rest of us? We're told to vote every few years and trust that democracy is working. But if the real decisions are made at Bilderberg, at Davos, at the Council on Foreign Relations, at Bohemian Grove, then what's the point of voting? That's the uncomfortable question these organizations raise. Not whether they're secretly evil, but whether democracy is real when power operates in networks the public can't see or influence. Sleep well. And remember, the real secret isn't that elites control the world, it's that we let them, and we're told to call anyone who questions it a conspiracy theorist. This has been Intellectual's Lullaby. Until next time, rest deeply, think carefully, and never stop questioning who really holds power and how they use it. Good night.